Hi, and welcome to this episode. We have all done it before, haven't we? Disassembling a device to see how it works. Stripping down a device can make its functionality more clear. A good way to do so with a plugin is trying to recreate it, and that's what I like to do with Maximus as example. Recreating a complex plugin makes it often more clear if it's just a compilation of simple functions or if the developer built in some secret magic. But it got a few other benefits too, so let's have a try. The sound enters Maximus first at the low cut. That's easy to simulate within PEQ2, where in my default preset I've already set up a 24 dB high pass filter. The other bands I don't need, so say bye bye. The low cut in Maximus is set to 20 Hz, what I do as well in the PEQ2. After the low cut, the signal gets split into 3 bands. Luckily, we recently received a new plugin to do the same. The frequency split points are set by default to the same values as in Maximus, 200 Hz and at 3K. I need to send out the different frequency bands to separate outputs. Important to know, the main output of the frequency splitter carries always the whole signal.
In the darkness, you shine for me.
Even if I mute the mid and the high band,
In the darkness, you shine.
I hear the signal as normal. This means I have to be careful which outputs I use. The main output doesn't give me what I need. Again, bye bye. And I go with send 1 to 3 instead. Only the low band just the mids
In the darkness, you shine for me.
and the high band. Works fine. After the frequency splitting, the separate bands are routed into the compressor sections of Maximus. The Fruity limiter works quite similar as a single compressor section in Maximus. As visible in Maximus, on the left-hand side we got one for the low, the mid, the high band, and the master compressor. Of course, low goes to low, mid to mid, and high to high. After the compressor, there's a stereo separation function. Again, we find the same function in FL Studio native plugins. This knob in the stereo enhancer works the same. And again, we need one for every band. Maximus has a special and very powerful function hidden behind a very inconspicuous name, LMH mix. To simulate this function, we need the equal power crossfader I set up last time. As you can see by the routing, with this mix knob you can seamlessly blend between the uncompressed and the wet signal already processed by the low, mid and high band before it hits the master section. What this is good for? Well, most of you have already used it, perhaps without even knowing how it actually does what it does. But among other things, we talk about this in the next video. The last element in the signal chain is a saturator, which we find in Fruity limiter too, but on the master section I like to have it as a separate plugin and use Wave Shaper for that. That's Maximus. There are some special functions like the very flexible compression envelopes in Maximus which we cannot recreate that easy, but to be honest, for the most tasks they are not necessary anyway. Now we still have to check how well our clone does against the original. I rendered the little song from the Vocals to Song series without Maximus. On mixer track 1 I load the preset in Maximus I used for the videos.
In the darkness, in the darkness, in the darkness, you shine for me.
Now let's try to copy over these settings to the recreation. Low cut was at 20 Hz, so we can leave the PEQ2 like it is already set. The lower split was at 200 Hz, the same as we have set in the frequency splitter, but the higher split was at 2K. This I need to change. On the low band, the compressor doesn't do anything, but the stereo separation was set to 100% merged, as we don't want to have any stereo information there. The mid-band, though, had some light compression going on. As I cannot copy any setting apart from the timing, I just dial in a bit compression.
In the darkness, you shine for me. A world in shadow, uncovering. Lost and wandering, falling through the clouds, but there you are to lead the way.
On the high band, there's a bit stereo widening. And the highs got a little bit more volume. On the master, I sent 2 dB into the limiter section. With the post knob on Maximus master, I send 3 dB into the saturation, which I do here in the wave shaper. As the pre-knob in the wave shaper has just a percentage value, I try to dial in the right volume by ear.
In the darkness, you shine for me. A world in shadow, uncovering. Lost and wandering, falling through the clouds, but there you are to lead the way.
The result is very, very close. But what's the point of recreating a plugin in Pletcher, which I have as original anyway? Beside of learning and visualizing what happens in Maximus, this method has a very big advantage. With such a method, we can make complex plugins modular. This means, for example, if we like, we can exchange certain elements. Replacing one or more compressor by other models, perhaps by an analog modeled one. The stereo enhancer has more functions as a simple knob in Maximus, or perhaps use the stereo shaper for deeper editing. With such a clone, you could do even 5-band splitting. Many asked in the past for sidechain capabilities for Maximus. No problem here. We can change the internal structure if necessary. You get the point. There are much more reasons than just learning for having such a recreation. In the next video, we will have an in-depth look into more compression examples and different compression techniques. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching.